yet.
Right off the bat, I'm going to take a sin off because this DLC is completely free to play. And this isn't just some additional skins or cut content being re-released, this is a story add-on with newish gameplay elements and lore expansions that are handed to us without a price tag. For that, I'll at least commend Steel Wolf for attempting to make up for the mess that was the main game. A chapter system isn't bad in and of itself in a game, but for whatever reason there is no other way to save your progress other than autosaves the game gives you from time to time. How the hell did Steel Wool make one mistake with the saving mechanic, then make another 2 years later? I know that FNAF is geared towards children nowadays, but why is this the second time we're getting a child protagonist? Kids in FNAF have really gotten bolder, haven't they?
Gregory? Gregory? You there? I got your message.
The entire setup to the plot of this DLC feels pretty contrived. Firstly, the Mimic somehow had a means to contact others on the outside. Secondly, the Mimic had a means of contacting a little girl who happened to care enough about Gregory to go to the abandoned Pizzaplex to find him. Lastly, just like Gregory, Cassie will be able to handle herself against the horrors of the Pizzaplex and its animatronic mascots. Also, this walkie-talkie, which is a two-way relay to the radio the Mimic has, is by happenstance on the floor for Cassie to find. The Mimic didn't leave this here since it's been kept prisoner under the Pizzaplex, so who did?
Are you there? Are you there? I'm trapped.
If you listen carefully, this line sounds exactly how Gregory said it when he was trapped in the kitchen security office in the main game.
Are you there? I'm trapped. Are you there? I'm trapped. Are you there? I'm trapped.
It makes sense for Steel Wool to cut costs to compensate for a free DLC, especially considering both Cameron Miller and Heather Masters didn't have to reprise their roles since both of their characters either remained speechless or absent from the game entirely. But why reuse the same Gregory sound bites from the main game when Marta Svetic is the only main VA to reprise her roles for more than one chapter? Cassie has a noticeably slower movement speed than Gregory. There's gotta be a twisted sexist joke in there somewhere. Cassie survives this. She fell in a sewage pipe near the atrium and ended up in Monty Golf, which is on the other side of the Pizzaplex. With all the panicking she did, there's no way she held her breath for that long and lived. This Monty fountain had been dispensing water from a sewage pipe this whole time. Only Fazbear Entertainment would use piss water to save money on the water bill.
Ow, my head. Where'd that freaking Monty thing go?
She saw this hunk of metal come at her and she can immediately deduce that it's Monty? Is his mohawk really that distinct that anyone can discern that it's him from that alone?
Hi, I am a bunny Uvu. Take this mask and you can be one to ow.
Discount Duotine from Franbo. Also, Security Breach continues to dissociate from its FNAF roots by introducing more science fiction bullshit like the Vanny mask that can somehow remove obstacles in Cassie's way. Also, the way the mask mechanic works is that there are two layers of the map in the game. One in the real world above, and the other in the virtual world below that the mask warps Cassie to and from. But because this is Security Breach, there's a chance that Cassie won't warp up high enough back to the real world and will fall back down to the virtual world, and then will suck you into the void when re-equipping the mask. Mainly because the game believes you are warping down to the virtual world when you're already there. The cut content that was promised for the release of Ruin turned out to be the other 9 holes in Monty Golf and a completed version of Chica Feeding Frenzy, both of which were strangely not added into the main game since their arcade machines still exist there. Speaking of Chica Feeding Frenzy, I came across a weird bug where I killed one of the circle bosses in the game instantly. God knows how, but I'm gonna count that as a bug. That assumption has never let me down before.
Naughty. It's time for your nap. No light. Friend? No friend. I am trapped in a nap.
I get that the daycare attendant has a split personality, but turning him into Schmeagol Gollum is just too cliche.
Naughty. Make it stop. The light makes us hurt. Grind it gets inside my head.
I swear there's a short film on YouTube where Moon has this cryptic dialogue that the writers must have been inspired by.
Have you imagined the darkness that awaits you there? The void that consumes every last tiny sparkle of you?
While we're on the subject of the daycare, I should note that the ruin version of the daycare puzzle is a lot more boring and has less stakes since the daycare attendant is completely passive for the majority of this section, only able to kill you if you don't pay attention to the objective to turn on the other generator. The endos also make a return in this DLC, but are functionally worse than they were in the warehouse. The Weeping Angels mechanic is still retained, but they lose sight of you when you equip the Vanny Mask, which can create a situation where walking through this tight corridor can cause a death because they happen to wander in your direction. This makes two of the best aspects of Security Breach made worse by faulty game design. Fazbear Entertainment went through the trouble of structuring a Monty backstory to explain Bonnie's sudden disappearance before completely retheming the bowling alley. Also, the transition between chapters 2 and 3 defies reality. You just came from the main floor of Monty Golf in the previous chapter to get to the daycare, and then by the end of chapter 2, you go down this imaginary endo's throat, after which you fall down a broken vent and end up in the Monty Golf catwalks. Keep in mind you first access this in the base game through Mazer Size, which is on the 3rd floor of the Pizzaplex. Guess you gotta keep falling down to go up.
You did great. You're getting closer.
How do you know? How are you doing any of this?
Good question. It doesn't make sense how the Mimic can track Cassie's movements since he shouldn't have access to the Mexis system, but whatever, this never gets brought up again. This animation of Chica eating out of this trash pile and turning her head around is recycled from her eating out of the trash compactor in the main game. We are still in a FNAF game, by the way. I think I can only speak for myself after playing this game when I say fuck the mini music men. Fuck all these music men in particular.
Freddy! Freddy? Are you okay?
Why is Cassie talking to Freddy as if she knows he was a good animatronic? This chase and the one at the end feels very weightless due to the enemy compensating for Cassie's slower speed by also being slow.
Gregory, I shut down all the security nodes. I'm in the Roxy party garage. Am I close?
Almost. There's still one node left that's keeping the underground sealed.
Where?
Roxy's the final node. You need to deactivate her.
Cassie.
Roxy knows Cassie is walking to her even though she doesn't have eyes. And before you tell me she heard Cassie's voice from the garage, you know that if she did, she would be begging for Cassie to not deactivate her because she could overhear Gregory's voice on her radio too.
Your special day. I remember. Your special day. Do you still like carrot cake? If I remember correctly, it is on the 11th. I remember because you are number 1. Twice.
The Pizzaplex was built on top of the Zen world from Half-Life apparently.
No! No. Come on!
It's pretty bright in here for a cavern. I wouldn't worry about the flashlight anymore.
You saved me. You saved me.
Gregory?
I'm Gregory.
The twist that the Mimic had tricked you into freeing him leaves me with several questions regarding the main game. Was Burntrap's endoskeleton the Mimic this whole time? How did Gregory become aware of the Mimic when he escaped the Pizzaplex presumably a long time ago? How does the Mexis system even keep the Mimic imprisoned down here? Half of the obstacles that you encountered throughout the game could only be traversed with a Vanny Mask, which the Mimic doesn't have.
Cassie! Get out of here! Run!
Roxy Ex Machina. She was deactivated like 10 minutes ago and found her way down here just in time to defend Cassie. Also, why would Roxy continue to help Cassie even after she stabbed her in the back? Roxy's whole personality is being petty. Also, Roxy made her way down here, pushed the Mimic aside, and then looked at Cassie and told her to run. All without being aware of her surroundings. Because she's blind.
My friend has access to the building maps. Just follow his instructions. Go right. It's right behind you. Keep going.
Cassie, it's me. I think I need to explain a few things. You were never supposed to go to the Pizzaplex. That thing in the sinkhole tricked you. I really don't know what it is, but it's been trapped down here a really long time. The Mexis security program was designed to keep it hidden, but you shut down the security, and now it's free. It's not your fault. I know you did it for me, to save me, but we can't risk being followed. I'm sorry.
If you're as well versed in the older FNAF games as I am, then you probably saw this twist coming during the chase. Following instructions leading to your ultimate demise is exactly how Circus Baby got Michael Afton scooped at the end of Sister Location. I shit you not, this is officially called the Brazil ending. Who the hell knows why? Maybe Steel will really want you to come to Brazil.
Ruin. I was ruined once. They locked me in a room. A ruined room. A ruined room with mimics. The mimics made